Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy. Jimmy on the beat, boy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II here with Cody Almasi. Cody, how are we doing today, man?
Doing great, brother. Happy, blessed to be here with you on a Wednesday on the GSN.
Yeah, it's a great day. It's a great Wednesday, and I'm happy to have Cody here with me. Talk about some topics going into the new year. This is going to be our last show before the new year, before 2022. This is the last show in 2021. So make sure you guys tune in, grab a seat, grab a drink, maybe some popcorn, and get ready for this one. So it's going to be a good one. Good conversation in store for you guys. I'm excited. Going into 2022. There's a lot of big things that are going to be happening. Cody, let me ask you this. What are you most excited about going into the new year?
Just kind of to build on what we've started here, we've got the ball rolling, the beginning of college football season in the last couple of months here, but just to really add on and to make moves and growth and improvements within ourselves and within the GSN Sports Network.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some good goals. We got a lot of goals set here in the background too that we're really going to act on going into the new year. It's really gonna come to fruition. So we're excited for that. Hope you guys are along for the ride with us. But let's get into our first topic of the day. Let's talk about John Madden. So John Madden, he just passed yesterday, and this is very, very tough news, especially for NFL fans. Anybody that's really a sports fan. This has a similar kind of caliber to Kobe Bryant passing. John Madden had a huge impact on the National Football League and the NFL. I guess, what are you thinking about this passing, and how has this affected you, Cody?
Yeah, man, it's still kind of hitting me. It's just John Madden and that name, what he means to football, what he's meant to so many people, what he's done for the game. It's just hard to really express it all. Just the video game in itself, everything. I was playing the video game before I even actually knew who the man was, but if anybody hasn't got the time to do the research and actually get fully educated on who John Madden is and what he means to football, you definitely need to do it now that he's gone too soon. I mean, he's 85 and had a long life, but just hate to see legends like this go. And I'm just happy I got to go down to the Football Hall of Fame and experience his monuments there, his headstone, his video game exhibit, and just really take it in. Now, I would appreciate a little bit more. And I'm sure that the Hall of Fame and the NFL are going to do a whole lot to commemorate him. So it might be worthwhile to make another trip down there.
Definitely. That's really cool that you got to do that while he was still alive and, still living. And I remember the first Madden game that I played was Madden 97 on the Sega Genesis. Absolute classic. My uncle gave me the Sega Genesis, and he had a couple games, and Madden 97 was one of them. And as everybody knows, big Madden enthusiasts out there, they have kept that name since the 90s. The early 90s was when the first Madden video game came out. So if you've been playing any Madden games, they've sprouted out from the early 90s games, and basically he was a legend back then. So that's why they kept the name. They kept naming games after him, well after he was out of the spotlight from being a broadcaster and then from being the Raiders coach. And the craziest thing about all this is they just released on Christmas Day All Madden, a documentary centralized completely around John Madden and his legacy. And just to hear him that he's now passed, it's kind of crazy that he had that documentary. He showed his face. He was in interviews in that documentary, so he was a big part of it. And that was a great way, I think, to send him out. I know he wasn't in the best of health, but the cause of death has not been immediately released, and it's still not available to us. But nevertheless, it's still sad. And to what you said, Cody, he's had a very long life, and he's left a huge impact on everybody that takes pride in sports. And he's really been a curator for the modern day sport of football. So we got to thank him for that. But yeah, really impressive stuff here. Having the documentary, I don't know if you've seen it or not, Cody, but it is actually going to be shown on FS1 tonight at 9 p.m. Again, I got it set on my DVR. I'm going to take a look at it. It actually debuted on Christmas Day on Fox. So make sure to check that out if you haven't, guys. I'm definitely going to do that and give my honest opinions about it in some podcasts here in the next week or so. So I'm looking forward to watching that. And it's going to have a different effect on me. That it was going to have a crazy effect. I remember listening to when they were going to talk about, when they were going to release the documentary and how it was going to go live and how it was going to be released on Christmas Day. And that was going to be, a big deal. I don't know what I was doing, but I didn't see the debut of it when it premiered, but I was looking forward to it, and John Madden was still with us. But now that he's gone, I think it has a different feel to it, and it'll definitely have a different aesthetic to the viewers of that documentary.
Yeah, I think we're kind of lucky we haven't watched it yet, and we'll be able to view it with this perspective that we have after his passing. Definitely going to have to record it 9 o'clock tonight, though. After this, going to be locked in on the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. We also got Seton Hall against Providence right now. Providence is up by 11 with just over 9 left in the second half. A great matchup here. 15 Seton Hall. They obviously beat Michigan against 21 Providence. Two middle-tier teams that are on the come-up. These teams, just not to get too off topic with the John Madden thing, but having college basketball being here and being with us, you got to take pride in some of these middle tier matchups because you might see these teams in March. And we're super excited too. Maybe we can talk about this right now real quick while we got some time. Going into the new year, we are very excited to start talking about more college basketball. As we know, the finals for the college football finals, the national title game is scheduled for the 10th of January. There's a window there. We talked about this. It has the window from the 10th of January into the 14th of January. So hopefully there's no COVID restrictions or anything that stalls those games from happening. Hopefully all the semis happen according to plan as well. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the later session of the show. But right now, let's talk about Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving has returned to the Nets practice after refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine, which is a big barrier for him. And he did not want to do it for personal reasons. And I think that has to be respected to a certain extent. But with the laws and regulations involved in the state of New York, in Brooklyn, it doesn't allow you to be in a building with, more than X amount of people or within certain close contact with people. So he couldn't participate in practice legally. And he was unable to do that. Now he is at practice. It has not been specified if he is now vaccinated or not. So I guess, Cody, I think you got some words to say about Kyrie Irving. Why don't you share those with us?
Yeah, I've spoke about Kyrie Irving before. Just not a huge fan, man. He could be contributing so much to this Nets team. I think one reason they're letting him come back, they're sitting here at 23-9. They're at the top of the East, but the Bucks, Chicago, Miami, Cleveland, they're all starting to gain on them. And yeah, with COVID taking players out like flies, everybody sitting out, everybody going deep in the bench, you gotta, I guess, bring everybody back. But I just can't respect a man too much who thinks that the earth is flat still. I don't know if he still holds this belief, but last time I checked, thought that he's a flat earther. I'm a man of science, and we have Hubble telescope. We have all kinds of crazy technology, NASA rocket ships, and to just refute all that kind of irks me.
Yeah, going back to the days of Galileo and all the ancient astronomers that really they set the stage for saying that the world was round back in the day when most people believed it was flat. Most people did, but there was people that were on the contrary to that belief. They were on the contrary side to that belief, and they turned out to be right. And you got to give them credit where credit's due, having very little access to any type of technology, let alone the technology they had was very primitive compared to what we have today. We have satellite images of the Earth, and there's still conspiracies out there about the flat Earth. So, I'll be honest with you, Cody, I really don't know what to believe.
Well, man, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But one thing that is not an opinion is that the Nets are going to be okay without Kyrie Irving. You got Kevin Durant. He's one of the best basketball players in the world, in my opinion. Definitely looking like it this year. Steph Curry is looking great as well, but is just set alone, athletic, NBA true player. Kevin Durant takes the cake. He's averaging almost 30 points. And this is after this man has faced so much injury and adversity, missed seasons, and come back, and he keeps doing what he's doing. And you got James Harden there as well, but he's kind of morphed into something different, which I've come to appreciate more than just his like chucking up three self. He's become an actual team player. So just those two are getting it done without Kyrie Irving, and I don't think they need his flat earthen ass.
Great points there. We got a comment we got to address here from Chase Bailey. Chase, how we doing, bro? Good to see you in the chat. Definitely respect it being someone's personal decision, but put yourself in KD's shoes. He comes to Brooklyn to win a championship, and Kyrie is nowhere to be found. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Great point right there. So KD, a big reason that he came to Brooklyn was because of Kyrie Irving and having that dynamic duo at play, obviously attributed by James Harden and others that are, a big part of this Nets team, all under Steve Nash, which is really, he built this team and he really is trying to build this team around what he expects it to be. And that is a championship caliber team. So having Kyrie Irving missing is definitely a missing link, in the big chain of everything. So having him gone is a big detriment to this Nets team. Might not be a do or die situation, but they're going to need him down the stretch. He's a good.
Kyrie's somebody though that just, sorry to interrupt, but Kyrie's a guy who comes in and he just demands ball attention. Like, what if he messes up the chemistry that they got flowing right now between Harden, Durant, Patty Mills, Aldridge is in the mix right now as a starter, getting a lot of minutes. So he could come in and he's that kind of dude who just has a personality, and it could throw off that chemistry that they got going right now.
That is true. And to compare that, not to get too much off topic, but to compare that to team chemistry and what certain teams have emulated thus far, you can compare that to the Golden State Warriors with Klay Thompson. His comeback is looming as well. So you think about that, you think about the different dynamics, you think about the chemistry changes, the chemical imbalances, and you kind of see how that could make the team falter. You could see that team, not do as well as they're already doing. It's an old saying out there: if it's not broke, don't fix it. So there's certain mentalities that go along with that. So regarding Kyrie Irving, he has came back to play in away games only. He will not play at home games due to those restrictions. In saying that, I'm assuming he has still not gotten the vaccine. So,
That's
that's
what
personal
I
choice.
thought I heard. I just didn't want to say anything and
No,
be.
yeah, that's true. That's
But
accurate.
that even speaks more to like the chemistry issue. If you're only playing half the games or the away game, so it's a couple home, then you get an away game. So that could really, I don't know, just throw things off. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. It'll be interesting to follow, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's almost like playing two quarterbacks in football in a certain way. You have that miscommunication. You might not be on the same page. You're playing a position that really involves dialed in focus. And if both the guys aren't on the same page, you could have issues. So there's a similar mentality there. Obviously, Kyrie runs the point. So if he's not running the point well, then they're going to have to go back to what was working. So obviously, Steve Nash and the rest of the personnel in the Brooklyn Nets back office, they're taking a risk going back with Kyrie, especially with how long he's been gone. We're decent ways into the NBA season at this point. There's still a lot of the season left. Don't get me wrong, but we're a good ways into the game. We're about 30 games in. So you got to consider that, but we'll be following this story very closely as well going forward. So moving on. Let's move on from a flat earth mentality. Let's talk about the college football playoff semis. They are still on as of right now. Cody, I believe there was another game that got canceled due to COVID protocols. What game was that?
I'm not sure which one are we talking here.
I think it was the Holiday Bowl, wasn't it?
Yesterday. Yep. The Holiday Bowl. There were 5 bowls scheduled to be played yesterday, and the matchup between UCLA and NC State was canceled. That was the Holiday Bowl, and due to COVID protocols within UCLA's program, it left them unable to participate in the bowl, so they had to withdraw just 4 hours before kickoff. So we still got 4 games yesterday, but it's just a blow to, like we talked about in the Gin College podcast. Some of those players, you're suiting up, you're getting ready, you're warming up to play, and then you get told, hey, you're done. And what if that was your last game of eligibility? So just you hate to see it. And so we're any bowl game that actually makes it to kickoff, we're counting that as a big win. And yeah, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, that's just kind of crazy because we were talking about this on Monday about how it's really kind of crazy that they're canceling these games because of COVID restrictions and COVID protocols and COVID cases. The surge of COVID and the Omicron variant has been rearing its ugly head. We've talked about that, but these games have been canceled with a few days in advance or a day in advance. This game was canceled 4 hours before kickoff. Okay, so there's a lot of things in place for this game to take place. And then they just kind of, pull the rug out from under it. That's kind of unfair to a lot of people, isn't it? Think about the people that traveled. So my brother's actually going down to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, tomorrow. So, just kind of imagine that. Imagine the different people, hundreds of people that go and they plan, they're traveling from far away. They make hotel arrangements, places to stay. And obviously the highlight of their trip is going to be going to this bowl game, whatever this bowl game may be. We've seen multiple cancellations, and you have fans, you have supporters, you have friends, family from both teams that are planning on showing up. That's a lot of letdown. That's a lot of people that I think would be a little bit pissed off about these cancellations. I guess, what do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. And I'm just curious what makes certain teams eligible to maybe scramble for another bowl game if there's any openings, or who's next up. I'm curious how that happened because Central Michigan, per se, they were scheduled to play the Barstool Bowl against it is a decent team, but they got canceled, and now they are playing Washington State in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. So they got a little switcheroo, and Central Michigan is now slated into another bowl, and we've seen that with Rodgers replacing Texas A&M. So I'm curious who gets looked at first. Are these predetermined runner-ups who get to make the fill-in spot? So, but I'm just happy that some teams get to capitalize on the opportunity to get into another bowl game. But besides that, for all these kids who get to miss out on their last game, you hate to see it.
That's true too. That's something that you kind of gets undermined is the players, the ones that they're not going to the next level. We talked about this Monday as well. They're not going to the next level. This is their last game to really showcase their skills and really showcase what they have, because this is probably the last chance they're ever going to suit up in a football uniform, and put pads on. So that has to be considered too. You got to have a soft spot for the players, the ones that are not going to make it to the next level. and even the ones that are going to make to the next level that are taking place and taking part in these bowl games because this is their last game as, as a player of that university, whatever college it may be from. So there's a lot of controversies surrounding this. There's a lot of people, thousands, probably tens of thousands that are pissed off about this. And me, I'm sitting here and have nothing to do with anything, any of these bowl games, any of these players, any of these teams, and I'm pissed off. So that just speaks a little bit to what's going on here and what's really being emulated from the NCAA and the College Football Playoff Committee. It's rooted in that, and that goes for you too, Gary Barta. So I'm sure he's shaking in his boots a little bit, probably facing a little bit of controversy himself, probably facing a little bit of music, I guess we could say, by being nice about it. But I can guarantee you this: he will be facing music if they don't play the semis, and if they don't, because there's a lot that can happen between now and January 10th. Maybe not a whole lot that can happen. Still, anything can happen. We've seen the Holiday Bowl. We've seen what happened there. Anything can happen between now and the 31st, and definitely between now and the 10th. So that all has to be considered. That also has to be taken into context, and hopefully that they're staying healthy and doing what they have to do. So.
Yeah, definitely. Got to make sure you get to 3:30 if you're Alabama and Cincinnati, and 7:30 if you're Michigan and Georgia. I know both those programs are doing everything they can to ensure that these games are played. And I bet there's pressure from the NCAA as well, because that's a lot of dollar signs on the board. If either one of those games were to be canceled, that's a lot of money down the drain for all the parties involved. So I know everybody's going to be doing everything they can to avoid that. And we got a really good bowl game going on right now. I'm watching it live here on YouTube. It is Iowa State and Clemson, and the Cheez-It Bowl, actually. Clemson started the third quarter scoring 14 points in 53 seconds to make it 20-3, but Iowa State has scored 10 points and has the ball and trying to make something happen here. So tune in. Clemson just got the ball back, but there is 4 minutes left. So see if Iowa State can make a stop, get the ball back, and then try to tie this thing up.
Yeah, still a lot of time for Iowa State and the Cyclones to make something happen against the Clemson Tigers. This is a great matchup. This is something that we've seen. You wouldn't really put these two teams together any other year but this year. But, with the different struggles that Clemson has faced, it's really not too unheard of to see these two teams play together and actually have a good matchup come out of both of them. So this is a good one. Yeah, tune into that on ESPN. Just over 4 minutes left for those of you guys watching live. I'm sure those of you listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everywhere else, the game will be far over by then. So
yeah.
That's okay.
These are the live ones.
Yeah, we still got a ton of games left in bowl week, though. They're not, they're all. It's not like they've all been canceled. Okay, it's not like they've all been canceled. So there's still some, there's some silver linings to this stuff, and hopefully we can finish the bowl week, the bowl season strong, especially regarding the college football playoff semis. That'll be a huge detriment and a huge black mark on the college football season in 2021-22. Having, if anything happens with the college football playoff semis, the other bowl games, yes, it's sad. And, I don't want to downplay any of these other bowl games, but they're more constellation games. They're not really holding much weight when it comes to the hierarchy of what's going on and rankings going into 2022 and things like that. So they're more novelty games, more constellation games than anything else. So make sure that's considered as well.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely.
Yeah.
Like
Go
today,
ahead,
Virginia Tech, they played Maryland. Maryland whooped on them. Tualia Tagovailoa looked great out there. It was 54-10 was the final score. But Virginia Tech's head coach Brent Pry, he was in the stands being interviewed, not calling plays. So that kind of speaks to what's going on in some of these constellation bowl games. Brent Pry was in there being interviewed, and the interim head coach, J.C. Pierce, which I believe is being retained on the Hokie staff, was calling all the plays and down on the sideline with the headset. But it was kind of funny as Brent Pry is talking to one of the ESPN guys, Tualia Tagovailoa. Sorry, that is a mouthful. Throws just like a 50-yard bomb touchdown mid-sentence, and they just cut away from him and never come back. But so Brent Pry, he was the old defensive coordinator at Penn State. So I always love to see some Penn State guys kind of get shut up.
Oh yeah, me too. And me too. They'd like to get too big for their britches sometimes. But looking at this spread, look at this spread real quick. And look at this over under. Over under 55.5. Maryland almost covered that themselves. Maryland -4.5. I think they covered that. I think they covered that. I don't know. Did they cover that? I can't do mental math
themselves.
Jeez, oh Pete. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that just kind of goes to show the opportunities for the bettors going into bowl week, bowl season. There's a lot of opportunities there, but it's kind of a crapshoot going into this game. You're seeing a cross-conference play, happen. ACC versus Big Ten. So it's like, what do you take? Where do you go? And that's where those kind of discrepancies can come about when it comes to different formations, different offenses, different everything, because you don't know how to compare one to the other. You're comparing apples to oranges. So you don't really know how to do that. So there's opportunities there, but sometimes it's tough to call because you could have took Virginia Tech real easy and be like, you know what? They'll take care of Maryland. No big deal. Maryland, they're very, lower tier Big Ten team. They're not going to put a whomping on them like this. You don't expect this, looking at this final score, you don't expect this going into the game 0-0, 15 minutes left in the first quarter kickoff. So that has to be considered as well. There's opportunities, but in bowl season, they are sometimes harder to call than during the regular season in conference play. So that has to be considered going into the rest of bowl week. But let's talk about the college football playoff semis real quick. Just want to reiterate what's going on. Let's talk about the first game between Alabama and Cincinnati. Do you think it's unheard of to think that Cincinnati has a chance against this world-class Alabama team, the comeback Alabama team that has been curated by Bryce Young? Do you think Cincy has a chance, or do you think they're completely out of it?
On Monday on our GCP, I said Alabama is going to win, but Cincinnati's definitely going to cover that 13.5. The closer we get to actual kickoff, the more I'm just starting to believe in Cincinnati, the Bearcats. I don't know why I'm drinking their Kool-Aid, but just hear everybody just play them down so much. I think that secondary of the Bearcats is going to give Bryce Young a really tough time and throw some things at him that he's not really ready for. And that's different to some SEC defenses. Georgia's, I'm not going to take anything away from them, but they are vulnerable, and especially as of late against Alabama. I know it's Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner, but yeah, I think Cincinnati has a real shot here. I'll leave it there.
It's a great underdog story, if nothing else. So I'm really anticipating this game. I think it's going to be a hell of a battle. I've said this on the GCP on Monday. I really do think taking Cincy to cover it is a great bet. And I could be wrong. I don't want to have to swallow my words going into the new year. But if I have to swallow my pride and swallow my words, then I will. I don't have a problem with it. But I am completely pulling for the Cincinnati Bearcats in this game. And it doesn't have anything to do with my hatred towards the Alabama Crimson Tide, maybe a little bit. But I just want to see Cincinnati and the Bearcats really bring their program to fruition. See Luke Fickell do what he has to do. Desmond Ridder has to get the job done on offense. And that secondary, like you mentioned, has to get the job done on defense against Bryce Young. So we'll see what happens on Friday. But it's going to be a hell of a battle. I can't wait for it. Now the showcase game on prime time, Michigan against Georgia. What are your thoughts?
Everybody knows my thoughts. I got my Wolverines, ride or die. I really don't see us losing this game unless something crazy happens. We just don't show up. But I think our offensive line is just a group of grown-ass men, and they're not going to let Jordan Davis or anybody in that defense really get through. Maybe once or twice they're going to get home, sack Cade McNamara. But if he holds on to the ball, doesn't let it go, we can take a sack or two, and he's going to be okay. Especially if he's efficient and he doesn't throw an interception, which he's not prone to doing. And I got confidence in these Wolverines, especially if we can run the ball. If we can run the ball, good luck, Georgia.
Well said. That game is on primetime, 7:30 p.m. on Friday, the 31st on ESPN. Make sure to tune into that one. I'll be live tweeting that game, and I'm sure Cody will as well. So stay tuned for the tweets on Twitter at GinCommish and at Gin Analytics. I'll put our ads on the screen here. Follow us on Twitter and IG. So we'll do a little plug right there. Final topic of the night. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. So he has stated in a press conference and in interviews that he will not drag out his decision regarding his future. He is a 38-year-old quarterback, has played for the Green Bay Packers for his entire career. He's a lifer, as some people call it, for the Green Bay Packers. And that's kind of seems what happens usually with the Green Bay Packers. If you play for the Packers, if you're the quarterback, if you're the guy, they latch onto you, and they're going to do whatever they can to get you to stay. Now, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And obviously, there's probably conversations that maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't too comfortable with. Matt LaFleur might be trying to talk him into something that we don't know. We knew that was some kind of uncertainty. There was an uncertainty regarding that going into this season. We're seeing the success that he's finding in Green Bay. He's just taking it day by day. I guess, what do you think about this? Do you think he should be considering his future a little bit more than he is? Or do you think he's making the right decision by just taking it day by day?
Maybe he's feeling a little bit nostalgic right now. Christmas Day, getting that win, passing Brett Favre for that record. Brett Favre congratulating him on the big screen. So he's probably feeling a little nostalgic, a little sentimental about Green Bay right now. And I think he just wants to maybe assess the situations at the end of the year. He's a super smart guy, and he likes to be shrouded in a little bit of mystery, as we've seen. And he doesn't really care what people think or what they're speculating. He's just going to sit there and keep doing him. And yeah, if I was him too, I'd just keep playing it by ear. I don't know if there's going to be a situation better for him out there than Green Bay. I mean, look at them right now. They're 12-3, and they're doing it pretty easily. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about it?
It's you just got to take it day by day. I think it's different from the perspective of a fan. I'm not a fan of the Green Bay Packers. I do like the different things that I've seen from Aaron Rodgers this year, both on the football field and off the field, that I've seen from him kind of, shunning out the mass media and the fake news and everything like that. I like that mentality. It's kind of different. You don't really see that a whole lot in the NFL. He has his own mentality and his own way of doing things, so I do admire that. But I think that, in the age that he's at, 38, it's a little bit older. You never know, with Tom Brady setting the standard, being in his 40s now, you don't really know the cap at how old a quarterback can be in the NFL. He's really setting a new standard, but seeing what he has, seeing what he's doing, it looks like he's clicking with this offense. He has clicked with this offense for multiple years. So I think it's in his best interest to stay, but like I said, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But as a an outsider looking in, I think it's in Aaron Rodgers' best interest, as well as the Green Bay Packers, to make conversations light and keep things civil, just to keep him there and kind of have him finish out his legacy. I think he'll be happy, especially if he can get another Super Bowl ring. I think he'll really be happy to end his legacy at Green Bay and really be able to look back at it and be happy with what he's done.
Yeah, just be that guy, be there the whole way through. And I mean, what else do you have going on in the NFC North right now? The Bears, the Lions, the Vikings. The Vikings are the next up with 7 wins, and they're below 500. So you don't have a better situation there. And also, Devontae Adams, they don't grow on trees. All right, that dude is an animal and one of the best wide receivers in the league, if you ask me. So definitely. Unless there's somewhere super warm where he's got Devontae Adams is going to, or a receiver of the same caliber, I don't really see him leaving Green Bay.
Yeah, unless you have a Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski situation, I don't really see him leaving Green Bay. Yeah. But, crazier things have happened, just like the Tom Brady Gronk thing. We thought Tom Brady was going to be a lifer with the Patriots. And, he had a falling out with Belichick and different coaches, and he ended it there and easily found a new home in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, and he brought Gronk with him, kind of, when you have a quarterback of that stature, you do what you've done. You're considered the GOAT, and you're still playing football, doing what you love. You can kind of get away with whatever you want. Maybe not whatever you want, but you can pull some strings to get certain players to come and jump ship from their current teams, or even to retire and then come back into play. So,
especially in today's day and age.
And, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of pull that the players have. And
as much as I say, I don't think this will happen. If I were to see the headline pop up on my phone that he's going to the Saints or something like that, I would be like, oh, shit, okay. I wouldn't be that surprised.
Right. It would kind of be a little bit of a shock, but we wouldn't be super surprised about it. We'd say, you know what, we saw this coming. We didn't expect it to happen like this, or didn't expect it to be this team. Or, I wonder what happened. But, we'll see the writing on the wall. We're already starting to see it. So I think that has to be stated, and it has to be expected. So whatever happens will happen. I think he's going to stay, I'm going to take a wild guess. I think he's going to stay with the Packers for the rest of this year. But,
who's
going
your
into next
is he
year.
your MVP of the season so far, or who
Oh,
would you peg as your NFL MVP through 15 weeks?
I mean, I think you got to give it to him. I don't know who else I would pick. I don't know who else has been as clutch as, as counted on other than Aaron Rodgers. He's really been able to come through in those key games.
Yeah, I
and
think
he's
the
really getting the
four are
job done.
probably him, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, and then maybe Dak Prescott. The Cowboys sitting there at 11-4. But Kyler
Yeah.
Murray was right in there. He's kind of fallen off, but probably those four guys with a couple weeks to go.
See, and you can look at every one of those guys other than Aaron Rodgers, and they dropped the ball somewhere. They fell off somewhere. Tom Brady losing against the Saints. Matt Stafford losing a couple games in a row. Even
Throwing
Josh
those pick
Allen.
sixes, yeah.
Yeah, those pick sixes, terrible pick sixes against the Titans. And then you got Josh Allen dropping the ball sometimes. He's
Definitely.
my one of my
Or
favorites,
Patrick
as you guys know.
Mahomes, yep, is
Patty
also
Mahomes.
probably one of the comeback ones, but early on he looked pretty
Early
rough.
on looks terrible. Lamar Jackson looks terrible.
Yeah, he's out of it probably.
Kyler Murray's dropping the
sad to
ball,
say.
losing the Lions.
Yep.
I don't know who else. I guess if not Aaron Rodgers, who else? Right?
And then, but a lot of people I've heard them say that him lying about or misleading the truth about being vaccinated would come back to hurt him when it comes to the MVP votes. I don't know how you feel about that.
Possibility. It
I've
depends how
heard-
the politics is considered within the higher ups and within the different protocols, and how Roger Goodell is feeling on that certain day. Because he'll be able to spin any web that he wants. We've seen him do it before. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out and who is the MVP, because I do believe it will be a quarterback. So that has to be considered. I think there's a couple more games that have to be played going into Super Bowl season and into the playoffs. That decision will get solidified, I'm sure. So we're just going to have to stay on top of this. And it's going to have a lot to do with the chemistry between Aaron Rodgers and the coaching staff within the Green Bay Packers franchise. So a lot of things can happen, a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff happening on and off the field that has to be followed. So we'll be looking at every single aspect of it going into the new year. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Doing a little bit of housekeeping stuff now. GSN housekeeping. Time for GSN housekeeping. Hope you guys are ready for it. Going to talk about a couple things here. Brand new website dropping on the first of the year, as well as our brand new Bet with Gin betting package. The premium package will be released on the first of the year as well. So Seth and I are working on that. Cody has a hand in it as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts in the background within GSN and Gin Promotion. So make sure you're focused on it, staying tuned with everything on social media, and you're getting in gear for the new year. Hope you guys have your resolutions all picked out. I have mine picked out. Cody, I hope you have yours picked out. We got to keep ourselves accountable over here. We're a close-knit team. So it's really exciting. A lot of stuff being dropped, a lot of new things happening. And that's just two of the things that are happening. So there'll be a lot more that is dropped going into the new year in the coming weeks as well. So just giving a little bit of teaser out there. Don't want to give too much of a teaser. The website will be officially released. It actually might get pre-released before the new year, but don't tell anyone I told you that. But
spoiler there. I like a little bit
of spoiler. Yeah. So, I like to spice things up. I like to, kind of, throw audibles in there in the 10th hour. So that's just my style. It's how I roll. Hope you guys know that by now, if you know me, if you've been watching the show. So that's about all I got, Cody. We'll wrap up the GSN pod here on a Wednesday, last pod of 2021. What are your final thoughts?
The Clemson Tigers are your Cheez-It Bowl champions. Win 2013, hold on against the Cyclones. Everybody go grab some popcorn, get a soft drink, a beer if that's your thing, and lock in for the Valero Alamo Bowl between Oregon and Oklahoma, two top 20 teams. So it's going to be a treat. Everybody enjoy. Have a happy new year. Be safe out there. Go blue.
Attaboy, Cody. All right, guys. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks again for tuning into the Gin Sports Network podcast. Have a happy new year. Be safe. And we'll see you guys in 2022. Have a great night.